Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are embarking on a really exciting creative quest, installing Adobe Photoshop. Whether you're an aspiring graphic designer, a photographer wanting to edit your raw shots, or just someone looking to make some incredible digital art, Photoshop is the absolute industry standard. But obviously, before you can start creating, you have to actually get it on your computer. And, a lot of folks get tripped up right out of the gate because installing Photoshop is actually a two-part process. It's not just a standalone file you download. It lives inside an entire ecosystem. So grab your digital tool belt and let's walk through exactly how to get your workstation set up perfectly. Here's our quick roadmap for the journey. We've got 5 main stages to tackle. 1. System prep. 2. The gateway, which is Creative Cloud. 3. The main event of actually installing Photoshop. 4. Some pro setup tweaks. And 5. Overcoming hurdles. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1. System prep. Packing your digital bags. Think of this part as your pre-flight checklist. We just need to make absolutely sure your machine can handle the magic you're about to create. Whether you're a Windows or Mac user, you're going to need a multi-core processor, a bare minimum of 8 gigs of RAM, though honestly 16 is what you really want for that buttery smooth editing experience, and at least 10 gigs of free storage space. Check these boxes now, and you are going to save yourself a massive headache down the line. Now here are the absolute deal breakers. No exceptions. If you try to install Photoshop on a drive that uses a case-sensitive file system, it's just going to fail. Also, older operating systems, completely off the table. If you're still running Windows 7, 8, or Mac OS 12 Monterey or earlier, you absolutely must update your OS first. The newer versions of Photoshop simply will not play nice with those older environments. All right, moving right along to Section 2, the gateway, Adobe Creative Cloud. Now, you might be sitting there wondering, why on earth aren't we just downloading Photoshop directly? Well, it's because Adobe operates through the Creative Cloud desktop app. It's basically your necessary gateway that manages all your software and updates. To get it, you've got 2 options. Option A, which I highly recommend, is just going straight to adobe.com, signing in, and grabbing the installer. It's clean, it's easy, and it's always up to date. Option B involves direct download links for specific older setups, but honestly, for like 99% of us, Option A is the golden ticket. So if you're on a Windows PC, here's your game plan. First, find that downloaded .exe file, extract it if you need to, and run the setup. Now, if Windows Smart Screen pops up, throwing a warning, which it does all the time for new installs, don't panic. Just click More Info and then hit Run anyway. After that, sign in with your Adobe ID or just create a free one if you're new to the ecosystem. Follow the prompts and boom, the Creative Cloud app will open up and quietly tuck itself into your system tray down at the bottom right. And for my Mac users tuning in, your process is just as much of a breeze. You're going to double-click that downloaded .dmg file. Inside that folder, double-click Install. Your Mac might throw up a prompt asking if you want to allow the installation. Just go ahead and say yes. Then sign in with your Adobe ID. You might get a quick prompt to drag the Creative Cloud icon into your Applications folder. And just like on Windows, once it's done, the desktop app opens right up and you'll see that iconic little logo resting up in your top menu bar. Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, the main event, installing Photoshop. Now that your command center is fully operational, this next part is literally just a few clicks. Open up the Creative Cloud app, click on the Apps tab over on the sidebar, find Photoshop, and hit Install. Seriously, that's it. It downloads and installs completely automatically. Once that Install button magically turns into an Open button, give it a click, and congratulations, you've officially launched Photoshop. Now, before you go wild, let's look at Section 4, Pro Setup, Performance and Value Tips. Before you start pushing pixels around, we really should optimize your setup. First up is your install location. If your primary hard drive is bursting at the seams, you can actually install Photoshop somewhere else using the Creative Cloud Preferences menu. Just look for Apps and then Install Location. But huge warning here, make absolutely sure your new folder path doesn't contain any Chinese characters or special symbols. Trust me, that will trigger some incredibly frustrating compatibility issues. Next up, let's talk about treating your hardware right. If you want the absolute best performance, and who doesn't, you should really install Photoshop on a fast internal SSD. Solid-state drives read and write data ridiculously fast, meaning Photoshop opens in a flash and saves files instantly. Plus, if you're planning on doing some really heavy lifting, massive posters with hundreds of layers, consider setting up a totally separate internal drive as a dedicated scratch disk. This gives Photoshop its own private sandbox to write temporary files, and it will massively boost your speed. And hey, Let's talk about a massive value tip: 60%. If you happen to be a student or a teacher, you can get up to 60% off your entire Creative Cloud subscription. That is a game changer for getting your hands on industry-leading software. Not a student? No worries at all. You can still grab a 7-day free trial completely risk-free without even entering your payment info, just to test the waters. All right, here's another super important number for you: 7. Adobe actually does not test Photoshop with graphics processing units that are older than 7 years. So if you're rocking a really vintage graphics card, you might run into a few performance hiccups. But honestly, regardless of how old your card is, you absolutely must keep your graphics drivers updated directly from the manufacturer's website. Outdated drivers are literally the #1 cause of visual glitches in this software. Finally, let's wrap things up with Section 5, Overcoming Hurdles, your quick troubleshooting guide. Because, look, even with flawless preparation, software can just be finicky sometimes. Is your installation suddenly stuck at 42%? Or maybe it installed perfectly, but Photoshop just refuses to open? Take a deep breath. Don't panic. This is a super common anxiety for new users, and the fixes are actually really straightforward. If you do hit a wall, just fire off these rapid-fire fixes. First, try temporarily disabling your antivirus during the install. Sometimes they get a little overzealous and falsely flag the Adobe installer. Second, double-check that you're logged into your computer with administrative privileges. Third, and I can't stress this enough, this solves like 90% of all tech problems, just restart your computer and try again. Still won't launch? Check your internet, update those graphics drivers we just talked about, and do one final check to ensure you aren't trying to install it on a case-sensitive drive. So when you take a step back, this whole journey really boils down to this perfect, totally screenshot-worthy cheat sheet. 6 super manageable steps. 1. Check your system specs. 2. Download the Creative Cloud app. 3. Install it. 4. Open the Apps tab inside Creative Cloud. 5. Click Install on Photoshop. And 6. Launch it and sign in. That's the whole shebang, start to finish, distilled down to its absolute essence. And that leaves us with one final, very exciting question. Now that you've navigated the installation, tweaked your setup for max performance, and have this unbelievably powerful piece of software sitting right there ready to go, your digital toolbox is officially open. So what are you going to create first? I highly encourage you to open it up right this second, poke around the workspace, maybe hunt down a quick tutorial on Adobe's official Help Center, and just begin your creative journey. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy creating!